This is Post la Verdad in English #Exeter interviews. You can listen to this podcast using our different platforms, Spreaker, SoundCloud, or YouTube. Please use YouTube for subtitles both in English or Spanish. Si deseas traducción al español, por favor escuchar en YouTube con subtítulos on.
Free, free, Palestine!
From the river to the sea!
Palestine will be free!
From the river to the sea!
Palestine will be free!
Hands up!
Jerusalem!
Hands up!
Jerusalem!
Hands up!
Jerusalem!
Hands up!
Jerusalem!
Hello everybody and welcome to a new Post la Verdad in English episode Exeter interviews. I'm Diana Valencia Seva, and here with me today we'll have Gabriel Polley, PhD candidate in Palestine Studies, and Layan Kayed, an international student at the University of Exeter, and she's from Palestine. We will be talking about Exeter Friends of Palestine, a society who had a rally here at the uni last Monday. We were sort of a response to President Trump's decision of the US Embassy moving to Jerusalem, because according to him, Jerusalem is the capital of Israel, and the Exeter Friends of Palestine had something to say about it. But shortly before we start our interview, I want to talk to you about Coffee for Rights. Coffee for Rights is an initiative of sustainable coffee led by Colombian women victims of the conflict. And I thought it's Christmas and this is a unique opportunity to support a beautiful cause. These strong and amazing ladies deserve all the aid we could get them. They're running an Indiegogo campaign right now. So please, pretty please get involved. You can find them on Twitter at Coffee for Rice. Get to know them, to see what they're doing, and get involved with the Indiegogo campaign. Please, let's help them. $1, $5, $10 is not much really, and they will do lots of good for people who had suffered so much. And thank you in advance for your help. Right before going with Gabriel and Liam, quick Twitter hellos to Andrés Balaguera, Gilito Azul, Don Contragodaria, Diana, Rota, my Post la Verdad mates, to our music genius, Don Edgar Arroyo, and to our logo designer, David Ospina, at ed_Ari and at David_Ospina on Twitter. You can also find me on Twitter at Diana_Val, and we're also at Post la Verdad. I am very happy and proud to give you our 4th episode of Post la Verdad in English from the beautiful city of Exeter in the southwest of the UK. Thank you so much for listening.
La entrevista.
Hello everybody and welcome to a new episode of Post la Verdad interviews from Exeter. This is your host, Diana Valencia, and I'm going to present a very improvised interview. Some guys here at the University of Exeter organized a rally for Palestine and Jerusalem. So I'm here with Liam and Gabriel, and I'm going to let them present themselves and tell us what is this all about.
Yeah, so hello, I'm Gabriel. I'm a second year PhD student at the University of Exeter, and I'm on the committee of the Friends of Palestine group here in the university.
And my name is Layan. I'm a second year undergrad, and I do politics and sociology. And so the whole point of this protest was basically after Trump had announced his decision to move the US Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, we thought that we should, this is ludicrous, and basically we need to stand up and show our solidarity with the Palestinian people. it affects everybody, really. It's not just Palestinians.
Yeah, for us in Latin America and Colombia, it's still a bit of, how to say it, a mystery and really an interesting topic, the confrontation in between Israel and Palestine. What is the origin of all this mess situation in Jerusalem?
Yeah. Okay, so before 1948, people in Palestine, Muslims, Christians and Jews lived side by side, including in Jerusalem, which is actually a holy city for all three religions. At that time, the British occupied Palestine. When they left, the State of Israel was declared, and the western half of Jerusalem actually fell into the hands of the State of Israel, and Palestinian Muslims and Christians were forced to leave, including there were massacres, such as at a village called Deir Yassin, which was in West Jerusalem. So the villagers had to leave, and their homes were then occupied by Israelis in 1948. In 1967, in the Six-Day War, which is known by Palestinians as the Nakba, Israel conquered the West Bank as well as Gaza Strip and part of Syria, the Golan Heights, and also part of Egypt at that time. But in East Jerusalem, the Palestinians there now fell under Israeli occupation. Since then, they've had a very difficult life. They've had Israeli settlements. They've had military on the streets, police. It's like a police state, a surveillance state for them there. Very hard to live as a Palestinian in East Jerusalem. And Trump's decision about recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's capital is only going to make life much worse for the Palestinian people in Jerusalem.
For you as a Palestine, and I assume you've been here in Exeter when you find out about the decision of President Trump. And I'm going to do a really stupid question, but I'm so sorry. It's kind of a mandatory question. How do you feel as a Palestinian when you realize about this news, and what are the possible consequences for your people when the states took the embassy to Jerusalem?
Well, I mean, like Gabriel said, I think that it's. I mean, Trump says it's going to create peace. I think that's ridiculous again, because basically it's not his to give. It's Palestinian land. It's being constantly and gradually uprooted and supplanted by settlers that have no right to his territory, and that's just going to cause more chaos and more deaths and demolishment of more homes and more refugees and more homeless people, and really
we actually have a statistic here. So for Palestinians in East Jerusalem, it's extremely difficult to build houses. Whilst the Israeli government announces new homes for settlers, and there's around 300,000 in East Jerusalem at the moment, Israeli settlers living there on land which was taken in the war in 1967. In Jerusalem alone, it's very difficult for Palestinians to build houses or even, keep their own houses. So a statistic from 2004 to 2016, 685 Palestinian homes were demolished in Jerusalem by Israel, leading, over 2,500 Palestinians to be made homeless. And this is just one example of the kind of daily hardships that people living in East Jerusalem have to face. I visited there briefly. I saw Israeli soldiers on the streets with guns, intimidating Palestinians. It's very common to see Palestinian children as young as 12 or 13 or even younger being arrested by soldiers there. And people have no security, and they constantly live in fear in a city which is holy to them and is actually their capital city, that Palestinians feel it's their capital city. So I think America should be recognizing it as the capital of Palestine, not of Israel. And what Trump's done is exactly the wrong thing to do.
Well, for us, sometimes the opposite question would be, what is the ideal situation for Israel? Like, they have been also expelled from their lands. They had the Holocaust and terrible things within history had passed to use all over the world. So what would be the ideal treat, the key to the peace in between Israel and Palestine?
Well, I mean, Layan and I and many other Palestinian activists, we're members of the BDS movement, Boycott, Divestment, Sanctions movement. And the three main points of this movement are saying that the occupation should end of the West Bank and Gaza Strip. There should be equal rights for Palestinian citizens inside the area, which is recognized as being Israel, because about 1/6 of the population of Israel is Palestinian. Many people don't know that. But there should be equal rights for them. And finally, and possibly most importantly, the refugees from 1948 should be allowed to return. So that's Palestinian refugees. Should be allowed to return to Palestine from Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, wherever they are. There's nothing in that about, there's nothing there about doing anything to the Israelis or, the Jewish people that live in the historical Palestine area now. So, I mean, as far as some people are concerned, they can stay. As a British person, it's not my right to say this fact, but there's no motivation about doing anything to the Jewish population there. We just want justice and equal rights for Palestinians, and they should be allowed to live in their homes in peace.
Liam, how do you feel about the use of violence from both sides? Is it legitimate? Is it not?
Well, I think when it comes to, I think it's very disproportionate how the media showcases violence, especially when you're looking at Palestine and Israel. But I think there is no question about how it's being used and manipulated on the Israeli side. There is no comparison between how much funding and how much funding and capability the Israeli armed forces have in comparison to what Palestinians have. I mean, the first Intifada was noted for what the Palestinians were using because they didn't have any weapons. They only had stones at their disposal, and so I feel like when somebody aims a gun at you, you can't just stand there and do nothing. Like, you fight back. And I think the way that Western media specifically portrays this whole situation is very unfair, and just because it's showing Palestinians as the villains and as uncivilized, people when they're being aimed weapons constantly.
It's I mean, their land is occupied. Every people who have had their land and homes taken away have resisted with whatever means they have. And as Layan said, there's complete disproportion between the two sides. And I think to say violence from both sides is misleading. It's the kind of mainstream media discourse. But when Israel has the ability in Gaza to kill more than 2,000 people in a month, including many women and children, Palestinians have stones. They have very little with which to resist. And in fact, most Palestinians resist by staying on their land and refusing to leave, and just showing steadfastness, and that's the most inspiring form of resistance. And that's why we do what we do here, to stand in solidarity and support for them.
Yeah, I must say that through my part and the Post La Verdad team in Colombia and the Post La Verdad group, that we also want to show you our solidarity and appreciation. We have people in the same situations, so probably we can relate to that, for people being bullied and assaulted and killed. People who just have the power to do that. So, absolutely. I like to show my appreciation, and from me, the appreciation of my Colombian people to you people in Palestine. So I don't know. As a last word, do you have any social media that people can can take a look and get involved or get to know you better?
Yeah. So we do have a presence on Facebook, Exeter University Friends of Palestine. You can find out what we're doing in Exeter, more about that. But as a movement, it's a huge movement now, and every university in the UK has similar groups. In London on Friday, there was a big demonstration in front of the US Embassy, also about Jerusalem. So it's really, really active. So there's hundreds of groups, Palestine Solidarity Campaign, many different campaigns all over the country and all over the world, including the BDS movement, Boycott, Divestment, Sanctions. So if you want to know how, from Colombia or any part of the world, you can help Palestine, then this is a really good way forward. And also I know that there's a lot of Palestinians in Colombia, so a big shout out to any who might be listening to this now.
Thank you. Any last word from you?
Yeah, no, I think if you also check the BDS website, you can find ways and ways you can basically support Palestinians and I guess for me it was actually the products I found that I was using that I should actually stop using that were in a way just facilitating the occupation and settler colonialism basically.
Is it a bit risky to do this sort of activism here in the UK, or is it actually easier?
I think nowadays it's not as risky because it's such a big movement. I feel like, if you were to look at our society in the university, I mean, we come from all different backgrounds, so we're just, we have a common goal, and I think we all have each other's backs, and it's for a good cause, to support people, and their autonomy. So, I think.
Are you guys in Twitter?
We don't, I don't think. We should probably get one. We should probably get one. But there's a lot of very inspiring Palestinian voices who are out there on Twitter. So, have a look. And I think if people can visit our Facebook page, then they'll see some pointers for other great pages and people to keep an eye out for.
Absolutely. I'll share it on Twitter for you. Do you guys know any words in Spanish?
Teach us some. I'm not sure. Some more in Arabic.
Spanish.
Buenos dias. Sorry.
No, it's fine. So guys, thank you. Thank you a lot for this improvised interview, and good luck with all your activities this year.
Thank you very much.
We'll be in touch.
Yeah.
Thank you. Amazing. Thank you.